From a powerless boy with no magic to the absolute strongest magic knight in history, these are all 11 insane transformations of Asta, ranked from weakest to the strongest. At first, we have Asta in his base human form. Now, even before gaining the power of anti-magic, Asta never gave up and honed his body as much as he could. Like, my guy was straight up doing thousands of push-ups and lifting giant objects daily just to build monstrous physical strength. But soon after he received his grimoire and anti-magic, that's when those years of relentless training finally paid off. You see, he was able to lift his massive black swords with ease. Swords so heavy that even the Wizard King was unable to lift them. And thanks to anti-magic, he was able to cut through or deflect virtually any spell, allowing him to easily surpass countless magic knights. But to close the gap even further, Asta mastered Ki under Captain Yami's guidance. This granted him advanced precognition, allowing him to read an opponent's breathing, muscle movements, and emotional state to dodge and counter seemingly impossible light speed attacks, all while still in his base form. Not only that, but Asta is also incredibly adaptable. During the Seabed Temple arc, he instantly adapted to and copied Kyoto's unpredictable dance-like footwork, using it to evade attacks and close the distance on his enemies. Well, before we move on to the next transformation, have you ever wondered, what if you could actually talk to your favorite anime characters, just like I could do now with this new free app called Polybuzz? Asta, seriously, doing thousands of push-ups every single day, don't your arms ever feel like they're going to fall off?
Not a chance! If my arms fall off, I'll just do thousands of sit-ups! And if I can't do sit-ups, I'll swing my sword with my teeth until I finally become the Wizard King!
Speaking of the Wizard King, Noel, now that Asta finally achieved his dream, who's going to be by his side, you or Mimosa?
What kind of ridiculous question is that? I'm royalty. Of course I have to keep an eye on stupid Asta, so he doesn't embarrass the entire kingdom. It's just my duty, that's all. Not that I actually want to be by his side or anything.
Well, that's just the beginning. With Polybuzz, you can jump into all kinds of crazy anime conversations and scenarios like this whenever you want. One of my favorite parts is the huge variety of anime characters available. You can literally chat with them for hours, whether it's Goku, Gojo, or even your favorite waifus like Hinata, Orihime, or Robin. Polybuzz makes this a reality. It's free, insanely fun, and as an anime fan, you will never get bored of it, as the selection of anime characters they have is honestly endless. Use code ANNIE88 to get access to 3 days of premium membership completely free of charge. Use my link in the description down below to download Polybuzz AI and start chatting with your favorite anime characters today. Next, we have Asta in his Black Asta form. This was the very first major power-up Asta got in the series. You see, after the Seabed Temple arc, Asta's arms were left cursed and were beyond normal healing. Desperate to save him, the Black Bulls traveled to the Witch's Forest, where the Witch Queen used her blood magic to restore his arms. However, during the battle against Ladros, she discovered that anti-magic wasn't simply coming from Asta's swords, it was flowing from the devil residing within his 5-leaf grimoire. By removing the restrictions on that power, she allowed anti-magic to circulate throughout Asta's body, leading to the birth of his first true transformation, Black Asta. In this form, anti-magic energy covers half of Asta's body. A single black wing emerges from his back, and a horn appears on the right side of his head. More importantly, anti-magic now flows directly from Asta instead of being confined to his swords, massively increasing his physical strength, speed, and reflexes, while also granting him the ability to fly. On top of that, he can automatically track magic in this form without needing to consciously focus on it. And we've just seen how powerful Asta became after unlocking this transformation. Immediately after awakening it, he defeated Ladros with a single strike. Later, he intercepted Langris's lethal spacey racing spatial magic, tore straight through the spatial barriers, and knocked him unconscious, cracking the arena floor beneath them. Not only that, he also reacted to and physically blocked near lightspeed attacks from a fully corrupted Dark Elf Patri by combining ki sensing with the enhanced speed granted by this form. And in the end, alongside Yami Sukehiro, Asta extended his anti-magic into the massive Black Divider Blade and successfully defeated Zagrid, a high-ranking devil. But even that wasn't enough. After the time skip, Asta fought against 50% Dante while using this form, and was even able to land several strikes on him. However, despite putting up a solid fight, he was ultimately overwhelmed and overpowered by Dante's immense strength. And that's when he unlocked yet another transformation, Berserker Asta form. You see, when Dante Dante brutally impaled Gauche right in front of him, Asta completely snapped. His overwhelming anger caused the anti-magic inside him to run wild, finally awaking this berserk form. Compared to his previous Black Asta form, this transformation looked far more demonic and noticeably more sinister. Unlike his normal transformation, where Asta remained calm and tactical, his berserk form was fueled almost entirely by raw emotion. At this point, Liu Bei's power was surging uncontrollably through him, causing Asta to fight with overwhelming aggression and destructive force. And we saw just how powerful this form was. Dante, who had previously been toying with Asta, was suddenly forced onto the defensive. Asta's speed skyrocketed, allowing him to pressure one of the strongest members of the Dark Triad. He tore through massive boulders with ease, relentlessly pursued Dante through the air, and even managed to predict and counter his movements. Despite Dante's gravity-enhancing mobility and spatial distortion abilities, Asta still landed a clean slash on him. But this form had one major weakness. Asta lost complete control, and Dante took full advantage of that flaw. By keeping his composure and exploiting Asta's recklessness, he eventually turned the fight around and defeated him. But this transformation was much needed for the next form to come, Devil's Arm Asta. Now, during that same battle, while Asta and Yami were fighting Dante, who was utilizing 80% of his devil's power, Asta realized his standard black form wasn't enough. Desperate to fight alongside his captain, he entered his inner consciousness and bargained with Liu Bei. In exchange for greater anti-magic power, Asta sacrificed his right arm, allowing Liu Bei's anti-magic to permanently consume it. When he returned to the battlefield, his arm had transformed into a black devil-like limb overflowing with anti-magic energy, thus unlocking the Devil Arm form. Unlike Black Asta, which simply increased the flow of anti-magic throughout his body, Devil Arm granted Asta direct access to a much larger portion of Liu Bei's power. More importantly, it allowed him to coat other weapons with anti-magic as well. As we saw when Yami handed him his sword, Asta instantly fused it with anti-magic and transformed it into the legendary Demon Slasher Katana, a weapon that would remain one of his strongest swords moving forward. And for those who don't know, this weapon retains Yami's lethal slashing speed while possessing a unique property that allows it to selectively cut its targets. In other words, Asta can slice through his enemies or their magic while completely sparing any allies caught in the crossfire. And we all saw just how ridiculous this power-up was, as Asta effortlessly defeated Dante with a single strike. Now, before we move ahead, if you're enjoying this video so far, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button to get the best anime content there is. Next, we have Asta's Imperial Sword form. Alright, so this form of Asta is a movie-exclusive transformation that we saw in the Sword of the Wizard King movie. It was achieved when Asta temporarily gained access to the legendary Imperial Sword Elsdosia. By combining its power with his anti-magic, he unlocked this brand new form. Now, just so you know, Elsdosia was formed by the first Wizard King, Lumiere, and was designed to store and pass down the magic of previous Wizard Kings from one generation to the next. This means that when Asta combined it with anti-magic, his power level skyrocketed far beyond anything we've discussed so far, and he was now being amplified by the magic of the previous Wizard Kings themselves. But that's not all. Elsdosia also possessed the ability to absorb, store, and release massive amounts of magic power. In fact, the sword was stated to have enough destructive potential to threaten an entire country. That said, this was only a temporary power-up that came from wielding Elsdosia. Once Asta defeated Conrad in the final battle, the sword was destroyed, bringing the legacy of the Imperial Sword to an end. And for those wondering whether this movie is canon or not, yes, it is. The events of Sword of the Wizard King take place during the 6-month time skip in the original timeline. That brings us to Asta's next transformation, Devil Union. Okay, so after Yami was taken by the Dark Triad, Asta became desperate to grow stronger. That's when Noct appeared and introduced him to the Devil Binding Ritual. After undergoing the ritual, Asta did something that basically never existed before in the Black Clover world. He formed an equal contract with a devil. You see, instead of creating the usual master-servant relationship, Asta and Liu Bei forged a partnership where neither had dominance over the other. This allowed both of them to grow insanely stronger together. Soon after, they began training, and after roughly 3 days, which honestly is an incredibly short amount of time to master something completely unknown, they eventually achieved a synchronized union powerful enough to be activated at will. However, because they had only just unlocked it, they could maintain this power for only around 5 minutes. Unlike Asta's previous devil-related forms, this transformation completely changes his entire body rather than just certain parts. He gains a full set of devil traits, including wings, horns, a tail, and a sleek-looking set of armor, making it his most complete transformation up to that point. But despite the strict time limit, the feats Asta achieved in this form were on a completely different level. He decapitated an ancient demon threatening the Clover Kingdom, then traveled all the way to the Spade Kingdom, where he sliced the fused Supreme Devils Lilith and Nama in half. He also destroyed Lucifero's incomplete vessel, and even after suffering severe injuries that Mimosa couldn't fully heal, he re-entered the battlefield to fight against the full power of Lucifero's half-manifestation. And the craziest part, Asta's anti-magic was the only power capable of making Lucifero bleed, something that not even all of the Magic Knight captains combined were able to accomplish. At this point, it was more fair to say that Asta had already surpassed the Magic Knight captains. But that's still not enough, because after this, Asta unlocked True Devil Union. During the same fight against Lucifero, Asta and Libe were pushed into a corner, as their basic Devil Union wasn't even close to matching Lucifero's overwhelming power. But in that moment of absolute hopelessness, Asta entered Libe's consciousness and witnessed his tragic past, including the life Libe had lived, the death of Lucida, and the shocking truth that Lucida was their shared mother. Realizing they shared the same grief and had the same hatred for Lucifero, the two finally forged a bond of true brotherhood, perfectly syncing their souls. And that's when they unlocked True Devil Union, where Asta achieved 100% emotional synchronization with Libe. Now, when it comes to appearance, it's almost identical to his basic Devil Union, with one striking difference. Asta now has 5 black horns instead of 4. That extra horn carries a huge amount of symbolic weight. Since Lucifero himself only has 4 horns, the appearance of a 5th symbolizes that Asta and Libe have reached a level of power that surpasses even the king of the underworld. However, Asta could initially maintain this transformation for only 5 seconds, but what he accomplished in those 5 seconds is absolutely insane. In that brief moment, Asta kicked Lucifero straight in the face, sending him flying. Then, using the Demon Slasher Katana, he sliced Lucifero clean in half, completely destroying him. And remember, before this, no one had even managed to scratch Lucifero. Not Yuno, not a single Magic Knight captain. In fact, even the combined efforts of everyone on the battlefield weren't enough to leave a single mark on him. Yet Asta defeated him in just 5 seconds. That's the level of power we're talking here, but this form did have one small drawback. It came with a strict time limit. During his fight against Lucifero, because Asta was already completely exhausted, he could only maintain True Devil Union for 5 seconds. However, under normal conditions, he can keep this transformation active for around 5 minutes. And to overcome even that weakness, Asta eventually unlocked yet another transformation, Partial Devil Union. Now, this is less of a brand new transformation and more of a brilliant tactical evolution, a smarter, more disciplined way of wielding the power Asta already had. You see, as I mentioned earlier, Asta could only maintain True Devil Union for 5 minutes, but after the 15-month time skip following the Spade Kingdom arc, instead of simply trying to brute force more endurance, Asta and Libe came up with a much smarter evolution. Rather than coating his entire body in anti-magic, Asta concentrates Devil Union into a single part of his body, condensing all of its power into one focused point. By doing this, they were able to double the time limit from 5 minutes to 10. Because of that, only Asta's head and arms were covered in Devil Union instead of his entire body, allowing him to greatly increase both the strength and density of his attacks while using far less energy. We first saw this during Asta's very first clash against Lucius, where he sliced straight through multiple spheres of Lucius's time magic and effortlessly negated his offensive spells, feats that perfectly showcase just how powerful this condensed form really is. In terms of raw power, Partial Devil Union puts Asta on a par with base Lucius, the man who had already absorbed Lucifero's heart and was technically even stronger than Lucifero at that point. Lucius himself realized he couldn't win in his current state, acknowledged Asta as a genuine threat, and was forced to draw upon his own purified devil power just to keep fighting. And in the end, he even had to use Sister Lily as leverage to finally bring Asta down. Next, we have the evolved version of this form, Devil Union with Zetten. After being mortally wounded and teleported to the Land of the Sun by Paladin Lily, Asta learned a brand new technique known as Zetten. You see, Zetten is a key-based technique that concentrates a person's life force into a single body part before releasing it as a devastating explosive burst. But because Asta doesn't have any magic, he uses anti-magic instead, allowing him to unleash an instantaneous burst of focused nullification energy. Yosuga, one of the Ryuzen 7, even described Asta's Zetten as the perfect counter to nearly any type of magic. It lets Asta counter faster, hit harder, and negate magic the very moment the opponent tries to cast it, essentially making it the ultimate anti-magic delivery system. But that's not even the craziest part. When Zetten is layered on top of Devil Union, the two abilities amplify each other in a way neither could achieve alone, making Asta leagues stronger than he ever was with Devil Union by itself. The very first time we witnessed this was when Asta single-handedly decapitated the legendary five-headed dragon, a mythical beast capable of obliterating mountains with a single breath, and one that could only be killed by severing all five heads at the exact same time. With a single slash, Asta cut through all five heads simultaneously, and the force of the attack was so immense that it cleared the clouds across the entire land of the sun. And just so you know, the scale of this feat is considered to be at least country level. Not to mention, Asta also went on to battle the paladins who invaded the land of the sun, including Sister Lily, and thanks to this new ability, he was even able to save them from Lucius's control. Plus, even crazier, after returning from the land of the sun, Asta defeated Paladin Damnatio using nothing but Zeton in his base form, without even activating Devil Union. And just to put that into perspective, the entire Black Bull squad fighting together couldn't even leave a scratch on Paladin Damnatio. That alone shows just how massive of a power jump this technique gave him. But that wasn't the end. Asta pushed even further and finally unlocked Ultimate Anti-Magic. For most of Black Clover, Anti-Magic was treated as an exclusively personal power. Asta was the only one who could wield it, and while that made him incredibly unique, it was also the biggest limitation in a war being fought across multiple battlefields. That all changed after his training in the Land of the Sun. With Ryuya's guidance, Asta realized that since he could already channel anti-magic into objects, he might also be able to channel it into other people. And that's exactly what he did. Using the Demon Dweller Sword, Asta shared his anti-magic with the Black Bulls, essentially creating an entire anti-magic squad. It's basically similar to how Naruto shared his chakra with everyone during the Fourth Great Ninja War. As for the power level, I don't think we even need to get into that. Asta was able to share his anti-magic with his entire squad, and that was ultimately the biggest reason they were able to defeat Lucius, who is stated to be around 8 to 10 times stronger than Lucifero himself. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And finally, at last, we have Asta's Wizard King form. Technically, this isn't a transformation or anything like that, but I still felt it deserved a spot on this list. There's really nothing to explain here other than the fact that he actually did it.